I asked my daughter-in-law about my son's wedding day, genuinely excited at the thought of helping them prepare for such a meaningful occasion. But she just smiled, took a sip of wine, and said, "We got married yesterday. We only invited the special ones." I froze. Completely. Yet not even a week later, she called me. "Mom, the rent is overdue. Have you transferred the money?" How ironic. I wasn't special enough to be there on their wedding day, but when they need money, I'm suddenly the first person they remember? Well then, I have an answer just for her too. I still remember that evening so clearly. An Italian restaurant in the heart of the city, candlelight softly glowing, gentle piano music playing in the background, and waiters in elegant suits moving gracefully between the tables. It felt more like a romantic dinner than a simple family gathering. I chose a table by the window, private enough without feeling hidden. Smiling, I ordered 2 glasses of red wine, ready to toast with my son and his future wife. Mark sat across from me, his hand wrapped around Chloe's, the girl I had tried my best to see with an open heart. I poured the wine and looked at them both, a warm smile on my face. My heart filled with the same excitement any mother would feel before her only son's wedding. "I can't wait. Have you 2 picked a date yet? I've had a small savings fund set aside for Mark's wedding since he was little. We can start planning now. A beautiful, grand wedding." I hadn't even lifted my glass when I heard Chloe laugh. She gave a slight smirk and glanced around the restaurant, as if already unimpressed by something. "Honestly, those grand, traditional weddings are so outdated now, Mother. Just a waste of money. We want something more refined and modern." I paused for a moment at her response, but I still tried to keep my voice steady. "Oh, really? So how are you 2 planning to celebrate? I can help." Chloe lifted her glass, took a small sip, then set it down, her eyes never leaving my face. "Actually, we just got married yesterday. I thought I had misheard." The fork in my hand slipped from my fingers and landed on the table with a soft but sharp clink. "What? Yesterday? But why didn't anyone tell me?" Mark's face turned bright red. His eyes darted away, avoiding mine. "Mom, I was going to. Chloe glanced at him, gently patted his hand like she was calming a timid child, then quickly cut in. "I'm sorry, love. Let me explain. You're always so awkward with these things." Then she turned to me, her smile perfectly polite but clearly fake. It was a very small, very private ceremony, Mother. Only for those who are truly special and in tune with the right kind of energy. That last sentence came with an unblinking stare straight into my eyes, like she was daring me to react. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice from shaking with shock. "So you're saying I wasn't special enough? That I didn't have the right kind of energy to be present on the most important day of my own son's life?" I said it calmly, looking her straight in the face, waiting to see how she would handle the silence that followed. But it wasn't her words that answered me. It was the look of quiet disdain in her eyes, the subtle possessive squeeze of Mark's hand. And in that moment, I knew I was being pushed out of my own son's life. And that was only the beginning. I was still sitting in that red velvet chair, my thoughts tangled like thread, when Chloe casually waved her hand, as if brushing away everything she had just said. Her voice was light, but each word landed in my ear like a drop of ice. "Oh, Mother, you're being too sensitive again. We just wanted to keep things simple, without all the formalities your generation seems to think are important. But anyway, that's all in the past now." I hadn't even finished processing what that meant when her tone suddenly shifted. No hesitation, no softening. Chloe looked me straight in the eye, like she was bargaining, not having a conversation between 2 generations of the same family. "By the way, about that wedding money you mentioned, instead of spending it on some wasteful party, could you transfer it directly to us? That amount would be much more meaningful now if we used it for a down payment on a more suitable apartment. The one we're living in really doesn't meet the standards anymore." I looked up at her in silence. Each word out of her mouth felt like a stone, stacking one after another until they formed a wall between me and the daughter-in-law I had, just this morning, still been willing to understand. Mark glanced at me, then at his wife. His voice turned small, timid, like a child caught between 2 adults. "Chloe, that's a bit much. The apartment's fine, really. But the moment his words left his mouth, they were crushed instantly by a look from Chloe sharp as a blade. "Be quiet. Do you really think I want to keep living in that birdcage forever? If your mother actually cared about your future, she'd be generous enough to invest in it, instead of spending a fortune on some showy party just for her friends to watch." Chloe turned to me again, but this time her tone was no longer a suggestion. It was a statement, firm and edged with a sharpened gaze. "So what do you think, Mother? Substance is better than ceremony, isn't it?" I stayed silent. No arguments, no replies. I just looked at her. I watched the way she leaned forward slightly, the way her eyes didn't flinch. If anything, they carried a touch of pride, as if waiting to see how I would react. But I didn't react. I let the silence speak for me, because I knew that anything I said now would only drag me deeper into another performance. Chloe mistook it for surrender. She laughed, leaned lightly toward Mark, and spoke in a voice dripping with mockery, not even bothering to lower it. "See? I told you she'd come around. Sometimes the older generation really does need to learn a thing or two from us, don't you think, my love?" Mark said nothing. He lowered his head, shoulders slumping. I remained where I was, my eyes no longer warm like they were at the beginning of the meal. That silence wasn't submission. It was a choice, a preparation, a warning, spoken without words. Because in that moment, I understood clearly I was no longer a mother-in-law in the traditional sense. I was going to be someone else. Someone she hadn't imagined. That day, I was leading an important meeting with business partners at the company. I had just begun the main presentation when my personal phone started buzzing nonstop in my handbag. At first, I planned to ignore it, but when Chloe's name flashed on the screen for the third time, I had no choice but to lower my head, apologize to everyone, and step quickly into the quiet hallway. I held the phone to my ear, exhaling softly as I left the conference room, only to hear her sharp voice shoot straight through the speaker. "Mother Linda, finally, you picked up. Our rent is overdue. Yesterday was the deadline. The landlord just texted us a threat. Have you transferred the money yet?" I froze in the hallway, keeping my voice steady, as if I hadn't fully grasped the situation. "Transfer? Transfer what exactly? I don't recall making any promises or agreements about this with you." On the other end, her voice overflowed with outrage. "Are you kidding me? Is this some kind of joke? Or are you just getting forgetful with age? Mark talked to you about it the other night. You agreed to cover our rent for at least the first year so we could get settled. That was a promise. You can't go back on it now." I listened to every word, clearly hearing the impatience and condescension in her tone. I kept my voice calm, but slowed it down a little. "Oh, that. I'm sorry. Oh dear, I didn't tell you, did I?" I deliberately dragged the sentence out, just to see how she would react. But Chloe didn't let me finish. Her voice shot up like a scream. "What? Are you telling me you're taking it back? Do you think we're trash? Do you have any idea we chose this expensive apartment because we trusted your word?" I tightened my fingers slightly around the phone, keeping my voice steady. "Calm down. I'm not going back on my word." I let the sentence out slowly, clearly, each word like a quiet warning. But of course, Chloe wasn't listening to understand. She was listening only to push further. And I knew then I had to end this conversation at the right moment. But before I did, I would let her say everything she wanted to say. Let her spill it all. Because when people are too confident, they always talk more than they need to. And in that overexposure, I would find the most valuable pieces for the response I was planning. I stayed silent after Chloe's last sentence, just listening to her voice sharpen through the phone like she was ordering around a junior employee. "Then transfer the money right now. I need it immediately. Don't you understand the financial pressure people our age are under? You live in a big, comfortable house, enjoying life, while we're out here struggling. You have a responsibility to help." I leaned lightly against the hallway railing, eyes drifting toward the parking lot below, phone still held close to my ear, but not saying a word. Chloe, thinking she had cornered me, kept going, full steam ahead without hesitation. "Let me be clear. If you don't send the money, we'll be kicked out, and if that happens, Mark will have no choice but to bring his wife home to live with you. Is that what you want? Do you really want us moving in, disturbing your quiet little life every day? you'd better just cover our rent. After all, that money is for your son's future anyway." I listened to all of it, never interrupting, never reacting. I waited until the other end went quiet, like she was expecting a reluctant agreement. Then I finally spoke, my voice low and even. "No, not like this. We'll talk about it face to face. I'm inviting you both over for dinner tonight, 7 o'clock. I have some important news to share. It concerns your future." Chloe fired back immediately. "What is this? I need money, not some fake dinner." I didn't answer that. I just said one thing, clearly, each word as firm as a command. 7 o'clock. Don't be late." Then I pulled the phone away from my ear, pressed end, and slid it into my coat pocket, giving her no more room to argue or manipulate. The game Chloe thought she was controlling had just been flipped, and I was the one rewriting the rules. I sat down at the dining table and placed the wine bottle on the wooden surface I had always reserved for those I considered family. That night, I prepared all of Chloe's favorite dishes, along with the silence she seemed to interpret as a sign of my submission. But once all three of us were seated and the first glass of wine touched our lips, I looked straight at Chloe, and it was she who spoke first. "So, what's this important news, Mother? If you're not transferring the money, we'll be out on the street." I didn't respond right away. I simply raised my glass, took a slow sip, and set it down carefully. "Let me be direct. Do you two know who owns the house you're renting?" Mark glanced at me, his voice hesitant. "Some real estate management company, I think?" I smiled faintly, my eyes still fixed on Chloe. "No. I'm the owner. I bought that property 5 years ago as an investment." Chloe froze for just a second, but quickly regained her usual air of smug confidence. "Well then, that makes things easier. You can just forgive the rent, or at least give us a major discount. After all, who makes their own son pay rent?" I nodded slightly, then slowly shook my head. My voice dropped, quiet but clear with every word. "No. In business, integrity comes first. You're tenants. And you're overdue. There will be no exceptions. But I do have another proposal. Mark, do you remember Mr. Miller's law firm? He's been a longtime partner of mine." Mark glanced at me, his voice suddenly very small. "Yes, I remember." I set down my wine glass, my gaze never wavering. "Last week, he sent me a recording from your bachelor party. It was interesting. In it, I heard a conversation between Chloe and her sister Lucy. Chloe said, 'I'm going to marry that fool Mark, inherit his mother's house and business, and once everything's in my hands, I'll divorce him and take half of it all.'" As soon as I finished speaking, the entire room fell into a heavy silence. Chloe's eyes widened. Mark turned to look at her, as if he no longer recognized the woman sitting next to him. But I already knew, and now it was time for them to see it for themselves. Chloe shot to her feet, fists clenched, her voice sharp and unfiltered. That was a joke. "You were eavesdropping on me. In many states, that's illegal. That recording wouldn't even be admissible in court." I remained seated, both hands resting calmly on the table, not moving an inch. "You think I don't know the law, Chloe? That recording is only what started this conversation. It gave me legal grounds to hire one of the best attorneys to look deeper." As I spoke, I gently placed my phone on the table, like it was part of a plan already set in motion. The living room door opened almost instantly, neither too fast nor too slow. Mr. Miller stepped inside, shirt crisp, tie neatly in place, carrying a black leather briefcase. His presence brought a pause to the entire room. Chloe swallowed hard. Mark looked at me as if about to ask something, but I spoke first. "Let me introduce Mr. Miller. He has a few things he'd like to clarify with both of you." Mr. Miller gave a polite nod, then looked directly at Mark and Chloe. His tone was neutral, not too heavy, not too light. "Good evening, Mark." "Good evening, Ms. Chloe. Based on the initial lead, we had a very open conversation with your sister, Lucy. She confirmed and provided supporting evidence that this was not a joke, but rather a premeditated plan. According to the law, a marriage built on fraudulent intent, fraudulent in the very nature of the marriage itself, can serve as strong legal grounds for annulment. To put it simply, if the case succeeds, this marriage would be considered, in the eyes of the law, as if it never existed. His words cut through the air like a blade, splitting the silence in the room. Mark turned to Chloe, his eyes full of confusion, his voice trembling with each word. "Chloe, did you really say that? This was all just a plan?" Chloe said nothing. She stood frozen in place, her face pale, eyes locked on the lawyer like there was no escape. And I stayed exactly where I was, silent. Because everything that needed to come to light had finally come to light. I barely had time to draw a breath after the initial blow when the living room door flew open. Everyone turned. Lucy stood there, eyes rimmed in red, clutching her bag strap. No one had called her, but she stepped in with a determined air. A brief moment passed, then Lucy looked straight at me and Mark. "I'm sorry I'm late. Sister Chloe, I can't stay quiet anymore. You've treated people badly, including Mark, who is a good man. You've been using him. You even asked me to keep quiet about the wedding date and the plan afterward. I sent the lawyer all the messages you sent me about this." As soon as Lucy finished, Mr. Miller gave a slight nod of confirmation. I saw Chloe pause for half a second. Then, like a cornered animal, she lunged and screamed wildly. "Shut up, you brat! You're on his side, aren't you?" She charged at Lucy, utterly irrational. Mr. Miller stepped forward immediately, his voice low but firm. "Ms. Chloe, I ask you to remain calm. Threatening or attacking a witness will expose you to far more serious criminal charges beyond the civil case." Chloe froze, her hand dropping, then she took a step back. I stood up. Not fast, not slow. But my voice had changed. Enough. "Chloe, do you think you're clever? Who did you think were the special people at your wedding? Your party friends? The ones who will forget you in a week? The truly special person, the one who has loved and raised Mark for 28 years, was locked out by you." I turned to Mark, my tone softening, though each word still carried weight. "My son, I am very sorry, but I must protect you. And this time, I will not step back." Mr. Miller stepped to the center of the room, opened his briefcase, and spoke in a calm voice, unmistakably edged with the sharp clarity of a seasoned lawyer. "That's correct. Based on the evidence at hand, including witness testimony from Lucy and other supporting documents, we have prepared two options." He looked directly at Chloe before continuing. "Option 1. We proceed with a public annulment lawsuit. Every detail of your fraudulent behavior will become part of the court record and may be picked up by the media." He didn't pause. His tone remained even. "Option 2, which I strongly advise you to consider. Ms. Chloe voluntarily signs this agreement." He opened the folder across his arm like an invitation that could not be refused. "Under its terms, you agree to annul the marriage and forfeit all current and future claims to any assets arising from your relationship with Mark. In return, the Linda family will pursue no further legal action against you." I stood up, walked slowly, and looked Chloe directly in the eye. My voice was cold and sharp, as if it had been honed for this exact moment. "You treated this family like a business transaction. Now it's time to choose your exit. You can leave quietly, with nothing, or you can leave with nothing, and the humiliation of being exposed to the world." I could feel each word landing like a mirror, reflecting every choice she had made. Mark turned to Chloe, and I saw his gaze shift from heartbreak to a new, steady clarity. He took a deep breath, as if gathering all the strength he had, and spoke in a voice tight with emotion, but firm in resolve. "There's no need to choose anymore. Chloe, sign the agreement, and leave. Leave my home, and leave my life. We are done." Chloe didn't move. Her whole body trembled as she looked around and saw herself completely alone, facing the cold weight of the law, beside a witness who had turned on her, behind her the man she had just lost, and in this room, no place left for her schemes. Chloe suddenly spun toward Mark, her voice breaking with panic. "No, you can't do this. I gave up so much for you. I left my career, my friends, even my family just to be with you. And now you turn your back on me over a few words twisted out of context?" She could not believe it. could not accept that everything was no longer in her control. But Mark neither blinked nor wavered. His voice dropped, each word clear and cold, like a verdict. "Chloe, I gave you a chance to explain. I once thought you were just reckless, but everything is now too clear. I can't keep living with someone who sees me as a tool to climb to where she wants. Sign it and end this here." Chloe stepped back, trembling, fists clenched, her eyes darting around as if searching for a way out. "No, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I swear I didn't mean it. I don't want a divorce. I don't want to lose you. I love you, Mark. Just forgive me. Just give me one more chance." She was almost in tears, but her tears no longer moved anyone in the room. I stood still, my hand gripping the edge of the table, my eyes fixed on the girl's mask as it crumbled. Mark slowly turned his back, walking toward the table where the lawyer waited. He did not look back. In that moment, Chloe realized she had lost not only a husband, but also her last chance to start over within this family. She lowered her head, lips pressed together, then slowly sat down, picked up the pen, her hand shaking with every beat. No one said anything. No one needed to. The paper in her hand was the final sentence, and it was also the full stop to everything she had ever plotted. I remember that afternoon clearly. Soft sunlight streamed through the sheer white curtains of the office. 9 months had passed since the final court hearing. On the table between Mark and me were 2 glasses of red wine and a calmness we had paid dearly to earn. I smiled, gently tilted my glass to clink against my son's, then asked, "So it's all over now?" "How do you feel, Mark?" Mark exhaled slowly. The way he looked at me held none of the confusion or shame he had the first time he brought Chloe home. Instead, there was a steady calm one that comes after surviving a storm. Honestly, like waking up from a nightmare. Now I finally understand what awakening truly means. It's not just about waking up from Chloe. It's about waking up to who I really am. I was too naive, too weak, so blind. You know, what haunts me the most isn't the money or being lied to. It's that I let the person who loves me the most be disrespected right in front of me, and I didn't say a word. I didn't respond right away. I just looked at my son, nodded softly, and placed my hand gently over his. "It's all behind us now, son. What matters is that you grew from it." Mark gave my hand a gentle squeeze and said, "Yes." And part of that growth came from the consequences Chloe had to face. It's astonishing how fair life can be. I looked at Mark, a quiet sense of relief washing over me, as if I could finally exhale after holding everything in for so long. The son I once feared would never break free from that woman now sat across from me, telling the truth and speaking with the voice of a man his own. And I understood, in that moment, that I had been right. Right to stay silent when it mattered, and right to speak up when it counted most. Mark set the iPad down on the table, its screen still showing a news article with a small headline about an annulled marriage due to fraud. No names, no photos, but detailed enough that anyone in that tight-knit social circle would know exactly who it was about. "Look at this, Mom. Your law firm really did an outstanding job. The fraudulent marriage annulment made it into the legal section of the local paper. Of course, it's anonymous, but in Chloe's world, everyone already knows." I glanced at my son, nodded, and asked, "And?" Mark laughed, but this time the laugh wasn't to cover anything up, it was a release. And the result is, our Princess Chloe lost everything. First, she got fired from her old job. No company wants to keep an employee known for trying to swindle her husband's family out of their assets. Those so-called friends from her special wedding day now treat her like the plague, too afraid they might be used the same way. She had to move to a small town hundreds of miles away, working a retail job that barely pays a living wage. The bitter ending for someone so obsessed with ambition and material things, right, Mom? I set my wine glass down, my expression calm but far from smug. Life always finds its own way to bring justice. But more importantly, what did you learn from this costly lesson? Mark looked at me, his gaze more serious than I had ever seen. I learned that real love never comes with conditions or calculations. I learned that I have to stand up for what I care about and listen to the advice that comes from genuine hearts. And I learned that you are the wisest and strongest woman I will ever know." The office door opened gently at that moment. Lucy stepped in with a tray of hot coffee, her bright smile lighting up the room. "Mother Linda, Mark, your coffee." Mark took the cup from her, his gaze softening as he looked at her. "Thank you. Lucy, would you like to hear the final bit of good news?" Lucy tilted her head slightly, her voice light but filled with curiosity. "What news?" Mark lifted the iPad, scrolled through a document, and replied, "Your sister has finally signed the agreement to give up all potential claims to any assets from our family. In return, Mom will not press charges against her for false declarations in the marriage records. A fair settlement." I nodded with satisfaction, then asked, "And now, what plans do you two have for the future? A real wedding, perhaps?" Mark turned to Lucy, took her hand, and the look in his eyes was no longer that of a boy, but of a man who had grown through everything. "Absolutely, Mom. A wedding where the only truly special and most important guest is you. And this time, I will be a man who knows how to cherish real happiness." I looked at the two of them, and warmth slowly rose in my chest. That is the most wonderful news I have ever heard. I have always believed that after the storm, the sky clears. And sometimes, it takes a great storm to sweep away what no longer belongs, leaving behind a sky that is brighter and clearer. We raised our glasses again. Not to celebrate anyone's downfall, but to mark a new beginning. A beginning without lies, without manipulation, only truth and love. A year after my son's wedding, I was sitting with an old book in my favorite cafe, the place that had kept the quiet I loved on Saturday afternoons. Pale light filtered through the frosted glass, and a cool breeze rattled against the window frame, making my hand pause as I turned the page. But even without looking up, I could feel someone standing silently at my table. There was something strange about it, a kind of hesitation and awkwardness that did not belong to a casual passerby. I looked up. It was Chloe. Her hair was disheveled, her face pale, her coat worn and shapeless, and her eyes unable to meet mine. "Mrs. Linda, may I sit here?" I said nothing, only gave a slight nod. She sat down, both hands clasped tightly together, her small gestures matching the smallness of her presence at that moment. "I know I have no right to see you again. I know I was wrong, foolishly and terribly wrong. But I truly have nowhere else to go. I have no money, no home, no job. Everyone knows what happened and no one wants to hire me. I am about to end up on the street." I stayed silent. The coffee had cooled a little, but I slowly raised the cup to my lips, letting her finish what she needed to pour out. "I do not dare ask for your forgiveness, but could you give me a chance? Any kind of work? Cleaning? Washing dishes? Anything at all? I promise I will never bother Mark again. I just need a chance to live." I set the coffee cup down without a single look of pity. Not because I felt nothing, but because I knew that someone like Chloe, if she had not fallen to the very bottom, would never learn to bow her head, and I did not want to interrupt. I wanted her to say it herself, to feel for herself the price of the choices she had made. I looked straight into the eyes of the young woman bowed before me, my voice slow and steady, as calm as the rhythm of my own heartbeat. "A year ago, if you had spoken those words, I would have driven you away without a shred of mercy. But now, things are different. Mark is happy. He and Lucy are in harmony, living decently, valuing family. And as for me, I am no longer angry with you." I opened my handbag, took out an envelope I had prepared, inside it a signed check. I slid it toward Chloe and said, "This is not charity. It is an advance on 3 months' salary for a warehouse position at one of my company's branches in another state. The work is hard, but no one there will know who you are. No one will care about your past. Do you want to take it and start over with your own effort?" Chloe looked at the check, trembling, tears falling uncontrollably. Her voice broke as she asked, Why would you help me? I do not deserve it." I looked at her with no bitterness, only a deep sense of peace. "I am not helping you. I am helping myself. I need to prove to myself that I have risen above it all. resentment only makes people smaller. True greatness is when the one who once tried to harm you finally has to bow and thank you for your grace. I paused, then added, "Take it, and live in a way that is worthy of this mercy." Chloe did not answer. She only lowered her head deeply, took the envelope with both hands, and quietly stood up to leave. I did not look after her. I turned a page in my book and continued reading as if nothing had happened. That serenity did not come from forgiveness. It came from knowing I had won completely, not by striking back, but by choosing generosity on a higher ground. Betrayal, schemes, and greed may blind someone for a while, but justice and sincerity will always find their way back. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is the strength of someone who has already won. Forgiveness is not meant to bring peace to others. It is meant to bring peace to yourself. And sometimes, showing mercy at the right moment is the most powerful strike against those who once believed they had the right to hurt you. If you have ever been in Linda's position, disrespected, belittled, or taken advantage of, I hope this story gives you the strength to face it and rise above it. If you have ever been on the other side, remember this: the world always carries the law of cause and effect, and when it arrives, it will come in a way you cannot escape. If this story has given you something to think about, leave a comment with your thoughts. Press like if you feel the same, and subscribe to Revenge Diary so you will not miss the next story of justice served. Thank you for listening. Thank